Praise the Lord. God bless you so much, and the Lord keep you, and the Lord guide you into the path that will give you life and purpose. Today I want to share briefly on understanding the emotions. Yesterday we shared certain things, and we saw Paul saying, when I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. And I reasoned like a child. Every time you come to a place where you're thinking and you're reasoning and you're talking as God, immaturity in it is because there's some area that you need to focus more for you to grow more. Now, it doesn't mean that there is something that you're lacking in terms of academics. No, you're good. Academically, you're right. Financially, you could be stable. Physically, you're good to go. But then there comes into certain matters in life that you are not able to give your best. The question is not you running from it, but you facing it. Because most of the people don't have the capacity. So Paul says in 1 Corinthians 13:11, when I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man. This man that is talking is not just a mere man. He's an honorable man in his time. He's a Pharisee in his time. He's a commander in his time. He's an influencer. But he was still a child. So he says, when I became a man, that is the age of maturity. I put childish ways behind me. There are things in life you cannot help because of your childish way. It doesn't mean that you don't qualify for anything. There are so many things you qualify for. But if there is emotional immaturity, there are certain things you don't qualify for. And actually, Paul at this particular time, he is coming from a place of work. There were men who were under his command. There were people who had submitted to his leadership. There were some people who would only say, yes, sir. But he was still not yet a man. He was still a child. So that tells you, with all the monies that you get, if you lose emotional maturity, you have lost a social integrity. That tells you, with all the charisma that you may have, if you lose social and emotional maturity, you have lost what you need for you to keep up with the life. You may have all the influence. You may have all the qualities that people like. But the moment you lose emotional maturity, you have lost something that keeps the important things in place. It doesn't mean life will not continue. Life will still continue. It doesn't mean that you're not going to make it. You are still going to make it. But then what you'll be getting in return is not something that will be pleasing to your heart. So today, we want just to ask ourselves, what is this thing that we are calling emotional maturity? This is the tendency to react negatively or express your emotions foolishly without restraint. Now, I am going to give examples. Probably you will understand it better. When we talk about emotional maturity, it is the tendency to react negatively or express your emotion foolishly without restraint. A good example will be if you've ever worked under a boss who looks like he woke up with the demons in the morning. The moment you attend to your work and duties, he comes with the anger. He comes with negative emotions and expressions. And you want it is still very early in the morning. What's wrong with you? The problem is the emotional maturity. He is the boss, he is the manager, or she is. But then suddenly there is chaos, unintended, unorganized, and uncaused. And so you wonder, what's your problem? The problem is the emotional maturity. He is still the manager. He is still the CEO. He is still the director. He is still the supervisor. But that person can be lacking of emotional maturity. And so the people that work or serves under that person, they suffer because of our emotional reaction. So now, when people express themselves negatively, they display foolishness without restraining themselves. So every time you have someone who expresses himself or herself without having certain limitation, is because of the emotional immaturity. Now, this person, take it further. If you're in a relationship with someone, and this someone is always on escalations, is always exaggerated, is always on outburst, is always on defense, is always on hiding, it is because that person has got a problem with emotional maturity. And so coming to terms with his or her mistakes is very hard. When you have someone that will always package themselves on defense mechanism even when they are wrong, it's not pride, it is emotional maturity. And so they better always be right than be caught wrong. They better be always right than be caught wrong. They better always defend themselves than find themselves trying to explain themselves. It's called emotional immaturity. There is a tendency to react negatively or express their emotion foolishly without restraint. Remember yesterday we saw the blame shift, emotional escalation and egocentric. It is part of what makes people think they are doing it well. Actually, they think they are wise. They think they are strong when they behave in such a way. But they are only displaying their emotional immaturity. So emotional immaturity is the tendency to react negatively or express your emotions foolishly without restraint. Sometimes there's nothing that stops you because you think you are strong to control someone. Emotional immaturity is a self-centered behavior that is always out of control and is not appropriate to the situation. Remember we said people that are emotionally mature, they are able to accept their mess. They are able to accept their mistakes. They are able to accept their errors. But the people who are not emotionally mature, they cannot accept their messes. They cannot accept their mistakes. They cannot accept their errors. They want to appear smart. There's no smartness in in expressing yourself foolishly. So when people are self-centered, they have self-centered behavior that is always out of control. There is a behavior in someone's life that is always out of control. And this person is never willing to change for certain situation. The problem is the emotional immaturity that they have. So they want to keep certain character and they want to baptize it to look better. But they don't understand if they keep this way of living, sometimes they will lose relevant people and keep people that will only entertain them. So whenever you are stuck to a certain behavior and you want to defend that behavior, the problem is the emotional maturity. Whenever you keep a frequency of repeating certain way of living, yet it hurts the people around you, because we said emotional immaturity does not see the need of other people's life. They want to be themselves. It's all about me and myself. So how you feel doesn't matter, but what I feel, it matters a lot. Emotional immaturity is that having a self-centered behavior that is always out of control. You don't want to quit the routine. You don't want to change terms and statements. You don't want to change routines. You don't want to change regardless of who is getting hurt. Why? Because you think it is your right always. And that is the problem with emotional maturity. There are no consideration of the other person. There are things that they go noticed, but to you they should be normalized. There are things that are out of order, but to you they should be normalized. There are things that breaks your life, but you want to normalize those things. There are things that keep certain category of people out of your life, but you want to normalize them because of your self-centered behavior. So you realize you can scatter meaningful relationship with your own emotional immaturity because of being so self-centered. If it is not my way, it is not right. If it is not how I feel it, it is not necessary. If it is not within my desire, it is not necessary. It is emotional immaturity. Life is about being flexible, not against the good, but towards the better. Because there is always something to learn in this life. It often happens when a person's emotions overrules a sense of judgment. Emotional immaturity often happens when your emotions overrules the sense of judgment. That yes, you're in a predicament, but you don't want the predicament to have a solution. You overrule through emotions, never to accept the sense. And somebody said, common sense is not common to everyone. You cannot hide forever. And you cannot live like that forever. Otherwise, utaanza kusema God seem just. Utaanza kusema God seem fair. When your emotions overrules the sense of judgment, that's when then you become yourself as a mistake. Okay, Paul says don't be stupid. That's when you become a stupid believer, a stupid woman or a man. Why? Because your emotions always overrules the sense of judgment. The sense of judgment carries along logic and common sense. The sense of judgment carries along the truth that you need to hear for your liberty. The sense of judgment brings about justice. The sense of judgment is what brings adjustment. But whenever your emotions overrules your sense of judgment, you lose what you are doing with yourself. So every time your actions are emotionally guided, then you either, number one, postpone the problem because there are no solution. Number two, you shift the blame and find a scapegoat. And then number three, you victimize someone. And then you package yourself as the good one. Hear this. This will cost you something either in the near future. Sense of judgment is your ability to carry through or talk through a situation that is fixing you. That yes, you know, this is my error, but I want to handle it. It's the sense of judgment that you have. It happens when you hear mostly what you have programmed yourself to hear, not what was actually said. When you lose the sense of judgment, you program yourself to what you want to hear, not what is needed to be heard. Because what is needed to be heard may concern your weakness. But because you don't want to hear it, you program yourself to what you want to hear. So you want to manipulate a discussion. You want to manipulate a situation. You want to manipulate a thing or a person to say what you want you to say. So you are saying contrary to the reality because of your emotional immaturity. So you program and position yourself into hearing what you want to hear. It is a dangerous place to be in life. And most of the people lose themselves because of getting themselves ready with words. Akisema hivi nitasema hivi, akienda hivi nitakam hivi, akithrow hivi nitathrow hivi. You are not ready to see the situation. You are ready to manipulate the situation. You are not ready to carry out the logical reasoning. You are ready to exaggerate, to manipulate. So every time you program yourself to hear what you want to hear is because you have got emotional immaturity, but you may have never known it. So every time you're only working with what you want to hear is because you've got a problem with an emotional maturity. And most of the people, this is where they hide themselves. They have overrule sense with their own emotions. They program themselves to hear what they want to hear, not what actually is being said. And they are always right. Every time you find yourself that you are always right, it is a sign of emotional maturity. Remember, you are still learned. Remember, you are still the boss of your life. Remember, you are still that manager. You are still that CEO, that director. You are still that powerful woman, that powerful man of God. But every time you will always want to hear what you want to hear, not what is need to be said. It is because you are suffering from the same. It is a reflection of emotional immaturity when you cannot stand questions. There are people you can't question, because the more you question, the more furious they become. The more you ask them questions, the bitter they become. The more you ask them questions, the more irritative they become. It is a sign of emotional immaturity. So a person that cannot respond to answers is already a suffering person from emotional maturity, because questions helps you to think better. Now, when you avoid questions, you avoid help. When you avoid questioning, you postpone your help. And most of the people in life, this is where they are. They don't want to be asked question. Why did you have to say what you said? What mess were you in for you to do what you did? Why did you have to go to that extent of doing 1, 2, 3? If you can't take questions, you are not ready to learn anything in this life. You just want to stay around the people that makes you comfortable. You want to stay around the people that suits your ego. You want to hang around that makes you happy. You want to hang around the people that cannot rebuke you or correct you. You want to hang around the people that takes your pride as a positive thing. Whenever you're not able to stand questions, is a sign of emotional immaturity. And there are always available people ready to soothe your ego, ready to make you more proud, ready to make you feel like those guys, they don't understand you. They don't understand your value. They are never honest with you. It's a dangerous place to be in this life. When you have people who always make you comfortable, always make you smile, always make you feel like they know your worth. They can't tell you your wrongs. They can't tell you your weaknesses. They can't point out what you have and what you are. They cannot exactly tell you what is happening with your life. But they always make you feel at home, regardless of your messes and regardless of your negligence. Then that's not afraid. That's an enemy to your own destiny. So, it is also indicative of emotional immaturity when a person cannot express their feeling without over-dramatizing. There are people who will always say they never understood me. Because if your expression will always be dramatized, yes, you can be hurting, yes, you can be misunderstood, yes, you can be misinterpreted, yes, you can be mishandled. But must you dramatize it? If you want to express yourself from the place of emotional maturity, be sober. Tell them categorically, this is 1, 2, 3. You don't need to be furious, anger, irritating, hatred, and you lost yourself in expressing yourself. And you know, this life will always have drama, but it's how you drum it. This life, you will always find someone to make you furious, but it's how you take it. For you to be positive in these things, then you must cultivate. You must have emotional maturity that even when you're expressing your deepest concern and your deepest pain, you express it with soberness. And that's when you are able to make sense that people see surely this person has matured to a certain level. And that's the difference when it comes into maturity emotionally. So you can be charismatic but still emotionally a child. You can be very powerful but you are still a child emotionally. If you are the one who likes, have you ever seen those people catch hatred from nowhere? Suddenly they are angry. Suddenly they are dramatizing everything. Suddenly they are shouting. Suddenly they are throwing hands. Suddenly they are furious. Their countenance is ugliest. It's because emotionally they are still not mature. So they think when they express themselves like that, they get to be understood. No, you're not. Drama doesn't create sense. Drama only creates anger. Kama video. And every time I want you to be a witness of something. Everyone is not as ignorant as I am. There are people who will always use that term. I'm not ignorant as the others are. I know my rights. I know what I live for. I know what I want. I live for my happiness. I have chosen to be happy. I have chosen to live my life. It is me. Now, those people are already emotionally sick, looking for their peace, living their life the way they want it, doing it the way they feel it, and they call it's my life. I chose my life. Yes, you chose your life. How did you come into it? Was there errors that in your life that you needed to correct? As simply you couldn't correct now, you came into a place where you are saying, I am living my life. So you think you're right? No, it's emotional immaturity. Proverbs 21 verse 19. It is better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and an angry woman. Now, take the woman away. I'm not interested with the woman. But I want you to know, anger is part of what manifests your emotional immaturity. Signs of emotional immaturity. Number one, they demand unreasonable time and attention from their spouse or partner. They want you to live and exist for only them. They make unreasonable demands of you. These are self-centered life. That regardless, for them they have got the freedom to do whatever they want. But when it comes into you, you need to live according to the way they feel it. And let me tell you something, you can't live for one. You live to affect many, but you affect them in different ways because there are limitations within the set boundaries, especially in the light of a relationship. So you cannot be kuna mtu aliiza sexting. That you are sexting, that your text is full of sex to everybody. And you want to please them. You want them to feel you. But you want the other partner to adjust for you. It is not possible. For you, you want that person to be alone. But for yourself, you want to explore with every sexting messages on your phone. By the way, that's our spirit. Number two, signs of emotional immaturity. Emotionally immature people reject, shift, and transfer blames. They personalize mistake, which makes it difficult to them to accept responsibility for their own. Let me just read it. Emotionally immature people reject. They reject correction. They shield themselves, and they shift and transfer the blame. They personalize mistakes, which makes it difficult. You are trying to tell someone what you did was wrong, but it takes that as an attack. It takes that as hatred. Interpret it as a mistrust, that you no longer believe and trust me. You think I'm a child to be doing certain stuff. No, before you defend, see the logic into it. Whenever you personalize a thing, you don't accept it because you take it as an attack, and so you reject it, you shield yourself, and then you shift the same to the person who is talking to you. Number three, they are ideologically rigid and behaviorally inflexible. They are ideologically rigid. They don't want to change anything because of what they get from it and because of how their ego get massaged. And they behaviorally inflexible. They don't want to change anything, the way they communicate, the way they talk, the way they express themselves, because they feel like it is my right. It is my right to talk the way I talk, to do the way things I do, to be with whoever I want at whatever time I want, and to do with myself whatever. It's okay. Put it as your right. But at the end of the day, it will cost you something valuable. It will cost you something valuable. Whatever is in the dark never remains in the dark forever. Whatever is in the secret does not remain in the secret forever. One day, it will hurt you, it will break you, and it will cost you something important in life. So every time you reject, you should shift and transfer blame, it is because you are no longer ready to take anything that we call correction or rebuke. And so ideologically, you are still rigid and behaviorally inflexible. You don't want to change anything. You want people to fit into your life the way it is without you changing or adjusting into anything. And number 4, they make promises to you that they consistently violate. Whatever they say to you, they can say to someone. And whatever they say to you cannot be fulfilled. They are quick to talk, slow to think, weak to act, and they do as they feel. Very dangerous. Immaturity, emotionally, these guys are quick to talk. You can say something and they finish the sentence for you as a way of responding to your chaos. They don't see the sense, they see attack. Slow to think. They don't want to walk the journey, they want to conclude it quickly, and most of the time in a bad way. And they are weak to act as they do as they feel. So they are not into the talks, they are into already what they have concluded. There is somewhere you begin to, if you are the kind of a person, every time someone begins to talk to you, you conclude before the discussion, is because you are emotionally immature. It was something important that will help the two, but then you concluded before time. You didn't want to see the sense and the logic. You didn't want any judgment from it. You concluded and then you finished the talk, is because you're emotionally mature. Number 5, they are critical. They are critical of you, abusive and demeaning with words or actions. They are critical and they want to be abusive, sometimes demeaning the words or actions. So what you thought you are helping, they destroy that conversation by demeaning you and make you sometimes feel as if you never made any sense. Number 6, emotionally immature people are extremely distrustful, highly suspicious, and always jealous. They are distrustful, highly suspicious, and are always jealous. They are people who are insecure with almost everything. And they are people who live a suspicious life. And suspicious can be created. But also when you are dealing with an immature person emotionally, they are highly suspicious and always jealous from nothing. No trigger, no sign, but they feel insecure with you always. Number 7, they are spontaneous, focusless, and very irrational. They don't engage logic. Their ability to discern and distinguish what needs to be spoken is low. They are poor conversationalists and good escapists. They are poor conversationalists and good escapists. Until you understand these 8 things are part of what describes emotional immaturity, it is possible to live with a person and you wonder, am I the problem or that person is the problem? You must know this. Oh, my time is up. But let me conclude by saying this. Don't waste your time so much trying to psychoeducate emotional people. They may not take your correction, they may not take your word, they rarely take wisdom because they don't want to adjust. They rarely take counsel because they don't want to cancel their plans that affect others. They live for their emotions, they don't live for the logic. They live for what they feel, not what is exactly needed. Be careful and be conscious enough. God bless you, God keep you. May the Lord heal and restore your life. And may God grow you emotionally in Jesus' precious name. I love you. Let's meet for another episode. God bless you.